my fellow Cortanas, and welcome back to the channel. I'm Copivian. Today is my top 10 episodes from Season 10 of Supernatural. So, without further ado, let's get right into this video. Number 10, Fan Fiction. Well, no longer is it about Supernatural the books, it's now Supernatural the musical. An all-girls school is producing a production of Supernatural the books, and of course Sam and Dean have to run into it. I said it in my last episode, I love the wild episodes, and this was wild. This was just crazy wild. I mean, it really throws you for a loop, but it's actually kind of awesome because it feels like it's directed towards the fans. Like, hey, thank you for all your support. Thank you for, dressing up as our characters at conventions. Thank you for all of the love, and we share it with you for not only this show, but for this entire universe and all these characters. It's a heartfelt episode, but it's also one that isn't without its own version of bloody demises. Number 9, About a Boy. Well, we've touched on grim fairy tales once before. Now we're fully into a grim fairy tale. Hansel and Gretel version. Well, Dean is now a 30-year-old man in a 14-year-old's body. He's got the squeaky voice. Certain things aren't exactly being controlled properly as they should be. Everything about this episode was, part of it was hilarious, but a big part of it was irony for not only Dean but Sam. Luckily, though, he does put the witch into the fire, so things do get put back right. But at the same time, the girl that gets involved in the situation, she, however, is not so lucky. But she sees it as an opportunity for a second chance. So, when you get those second chances, you gotta take them. Number 8, Reichenbach. Dean is fully under the control of the Mark of Cain. Sam, still trying to look for him, but has come across someone else that also is looking for Dean. And it all converges in an all-out brawl between Dean and Cole. Anytime that Sam and Dean, Jared and Jensen got to play either an angel or a demon version of their characters, it was intriguing. And you always wanted to be in tune for that episode because you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know how they're going to get out of it, if they're going to get out of it. How far Dean is being taken over by the Mark of Cain, and how far into Demon that he has got or become, it just leaves you going, stop, Dean, don't. This isn't you. Fight this. You can fight this. But through the screen, they can't hear you. Sadly enough. It's always interesting to see a darker side or a more peril side to a character that is so beloved. Number 7, Ask Jeeves. So, Sam and Dean may be able to claim an inheritance all of a sudden? Where did this come from? I'll tell you where it came from. A shapeshifter's family, apparently. And these guys, these rich a-holes, are at each other's necks non-stop. And it gets annoying, but to see how Sam and Dean still maintain control even through being locked in a room in this episode and seeing the shapeshifter come into the room where everybody is also segregated to, it becomes a, do we really want to see them saved, or would we rather see it be gruesome? Can't let it be gruesome. You gotta save these people. It's just a crazy episode, and one that kind of leaves you with having the nails on the chalkboard effect from the family of characters that are just at each other's necks nonstop. But it's also cool to see how Dean and Sam are always able to improvise when they don't have the tools in order to do the job at hand, especially not fully knowing at first what they're being trapped by. Number 6, Sole Survivor. Sam is continuously trying to figure out how to break Dean of the Mark of Cain. Not so easy when you don't have any books or any way to be able to have a road to go down. And so all you can do is keep Dean locked up. Of course, he has to break free, and this is the point where you're like, see, you done screwed up, Sam, but if anybody can deal with this, it's you, Sam. Luckily, he does get some help from Castiel, who does pop in right at the right time to trap Dean, and some of the most hard moments of this season are definitely when Dean has to struggle with the Mark of Cain, but that is one of the things that I love about this season. But that doesn't go without saying that it also, in this episode especially, was the episode that really showed you what the Mark of Cain was doing to Dean. And all of the perilous moments of going through the bunker with Sam as Dean's tracking him and just wondering, how is Sam going to get out of this? Always is difficult to see Sam and Dean fight each other, but it's also, at the same time, always kind of a fun little tweak in the story. Number 5, Angel Heart. Claire Novak has re-entered the story, and she is not backing down from what's really out there. And she's also on the trail to try and find her mom, Amelia, who just so happens to have fallen in with a long ago fallen angel. A type that Castiel thought was long gone for good. Turns out, not the case. And how do you deal with something that you haven't seen before if you're Sam and Dean? Well, you just face it head on. Also a hard episode because it leaves Claire alone. This is the point where Claire becomes Claire Novak. This character is one of the strongest characters that didn't get enough screen time in Supernatural, and that is disappointing, to say the least, because I really liked her character. She was a really interesting character. Number 4, The Executioner's Song. Dean versus Cain. Anything more need to be said? I don't think so, because this episode was just that. I honestly wanted to see Dean versus Cain more closer to the season finale rather than smack dab in the middle. But can't argue too much because I think that it was the proper time to do it as well. This episode, in the fact that Dean is struggling with the Mark of Cain, Cain is just back to being who he is, who he was when he killed his brother. He's no longer feeling any guilt about it. He's no longer dealing with it. But he is killing his bloodline. This episode leaves you with so much kind of worry for the character of Dean, because you still don't know how far the Mark of Cain is twisting Dean to its own usage. And it dives pretty deep in, and to see the fight between Dean and Cain, it's such a adrenaline fueled moment, and you're just sitting there on the edge of your seat going, how is this going to end? Is this really going to be where Cain is ganked? Well, much to Dean's dismay, he has to do what he knows he has to do. And even though it's hard for him to do it, because he knows that once Cain is gone, he's the only one with the Mark of Cain. It's all about him. And it's a very dark episode, but a very important episode. Number 3, The Prisoner. Here we go. The Mark of Cain has taken over Dean. And all after the Steins have killed Charlie. Not a good time to be the Steins. Dean sets his sights fully on them, and when you see what Dean is able to do with the Mark of Cain against the Steins, you're left with just an empty feeling. And you're left with, how is this going to affect everything going forward? What is the answer to defeating the Mark of Cain when there seems to be no answer? And now Dean's just given it's helping of blood and death and destruction. Castiel coming in to try and stop Dean, but in the end, even Kaz is no match for the Mark of Cain's hold over Dean, and it's a heartbreaking episode, but it's an episode that really shows the Mark of Cain's full power over its wearer, and it just a very desperate episode, and an episode of despair for the character of Dean and, well, Dean's fans. Number 2, Black. So Dean is, of course, full Deanmon, and he's with Crowley. This can't end well. But we do get serenaded by Dean. This version of Dean goes so far off the rails so fast, and Sam is just struggling to find where Dean is at, so that way he can figure out a way to help his brother. And you're with Sam, you feel for Sam all the way, but at the same time, you want to know more about what Dean is doing and what plans does Crowley have for Dean. A wild episode that just takes you down the dark road that the Mark of Cain leads Dean on, and you're there for it. You're just there for it because you want to see how Dean is if Dean is able to, through his own willpower, get through this Mark of Cain hold, or if it really is going to take something more. And at this point in time, you don't really know much about the Mark of Cain. Number 1, Brother's Keeper. Julian Richings is back as Death for this episode. Unfortunately, this would be the final time that we would see Julian Richings as Death. That would suck, but again, this episode, they finally found a way to possibly remove the Mark of Cain. But they need the help of Rowena, Crowley's mom, and one of the most powerful witches of all time, if not the most powerful witch of all time. We also get to see for the first time the smoke of the darkness at the end of the episode. And it's every time that some big power would open from beneath the earth and Sam and Dean were caught in the middle of it, you're just left with, why do we have to wait for all these months? Can't we just get this episode going right now? such a great season finale and a hard season finale because there's so many questions as to what Dean's going to do. Is he going to kill Sam? Is he not going to kill Sam? He can't kill Death, can he? He's not going to because of the bond they kind of share. So many questions, and of course, one of the other biggest questions of all out of this season finale is what happened to Castiel and what happened to Crowley? Are they gone too? And now Rowena, of course, has the Book of the Damned. Season 11's looking to hit hard and hit fast. All right, guys, that is my top 10 episodes from season 10 of Supernatural. I'm going to end this episode right here. I thank everybody so much for watching. Always remember to imagine your dream, create your happiness, and live your life on the edge. And I will see you in that next episode. See ya.